Greetings and welcome once again to the Gaming Codex, the show where I try to explain to you all the myriads of words and terms used to describe video games in the video games industry. And today's term is that of DRM, or Digital Rights Management. And according to the general definition, Digital Rights Management, or DRM, is a set of access control technologies for restricting the use of proprietary hardware and copyrighted works. DRM technologies try to control the use, modification, and distribution of copyrighted works such as software and multimedia content, as well as systems within devices that enforce these policies. One very important aspect to include here is that because of the American Digital Millennium Copyrights Act, removing DRM for any reason is illegal. And because US corporations own your ass, they will drag your ass even all the way from New Zealand to the USA for you to stand trial if your grandma accidentally downloaded a song and by slamming her head on the keyboard somehow removed the DRM from it. Now it may sound like I'm exaggerating, but these things happen. When applied to video games, DRM has taken many forms throughout the years. In the beginning, they were meant simply to stop people from pirating the game. They were done so in ways that were not really bad. They weren't really the kind of thing that would limit your access or enjoyment to the video game unless you lost the DRM code wheel with which Monkey Island came with, because it came with a wheel that had you align the heads of some characters to other characters so you'd form words and find the code needed to start the game. That was about as complicated as it used to be. Well, no, that's actually not true. Wasteland, on the one hand because there is too much text to actually put into the game, had a manual where the story of the game that you had to follow was written in, but it would be placed in non-consecutive pages and paragraphs, and among them would be dotted all sorts of complete bullcrap that sounded interesting but had actually no connection with the game story. There was a fake story written everywhere, and in between the paragraphs of the fake story was the real story, and you would only know the real story if you would be playing the game. The original game, since a bootleg version, would seldom come with a big manual attached to it, and some other games would prevent the copying of the manual itself by making the pages red, which were notoriously difficult to photocopy because they all just came out black, including the text, so they were not readable. Codes and hidden things in the manuals, that's how DRM worked for some time. Now, I wouldn't say it was super duper effective because the internet happened and people started sharing informations and texts and pictures and all sorts of details about what you had to write where and when. So when the CD came along, things took another turn. Now you had a CD check to verify that the CD you were using was a legitimate one. Now sometimes these could just be fooled by copying the CD and playing with the copy in the disk drive until you finished it. This would wear out your CD drive and your CD, but that's how things worked. Must have went through like 5 CD drives in 10 years. To be fair, most of them were secondhand, so it's sort of expected for them to fail at one point. One of them exploded and it was brand new. Well, no, not. That one didn't explode. The secondhand one exploded. The brand new one just tore itself apart. I have no idea how. But back at DRM, when people started to figure out that, oh, you could just make a copy of the disc, like not even a physical copy, just an image of the disc, and when hard drives got big enough, you could put it on your hard drive and then mount it using different software, they started to come up with, enhanced security measures to stop that copying, which weren't all that possible back in the floppy days since people would just copy that floppy. I think I'll actually put that on the background here. It's a song about not copying floppies. And those security measures became the bane of pretty much everybody that tried to install them for quite a few years, because stuff like Secure ROM, like Star Force, wouldn't just prevent you from copying the disk. They would install themselves and root access on your system. They would effectively have more control over your system than you did, and would on occasion prevent you from ever using your CD drive. Not for pirating games, but ever. They were malicious in the way that they acted, and when Windows 10 came along, they were considered a security risk, and they are disabled by Windows. Windows does not let them install themselves anymore because they were and will always be a security risk. They are malware packaged in every game that you ever bought, just so you, the person that bought the game, would not copy it, whereas pirates don't have to deal with it at all. It's disabled. And since that didn't work either, because, you know, it's kind of annoying to punish the people that are buying the game, because then they'll be less inclined to buy it even if they like the developer and want to support them. They went to online activations, some of them having limited online activations so that you could only activate a game that you bought like 3 times. Oh, you reinstalled Windows? Well, that's one of them down. Oh, you changed your motherboard because it got fried? Well, that's one more down. You upgraded your video card? Well, that's the last of them. Hope you... Oh, you had to reinstall Windows again? Well, tough luck, man. Buy Bioshock again. Well, they did extend the limit for how many times you could install Bioshock to infinity, I think, now. Because in the meantime, we've had better DRM methods implemented in video games like Steam. Steam in itself is a DRM method. That's why sometimes games just come with a key in retail form, not even a disc. That key is used to unlock the game on Steam or on Uplay or on Origin or on other DRM digital distribution services. With one exception, GOG. GOG lets you download the installer for the game with no DRM whatsoever in it. The games are intentionally and legally cracked because it comes with the express permission of the copyright holder. And in spite of it not having DRM, the games on it have sold in the past and continue to sell at this moment. Almost as if the piracy that DRM was created to prevent is not really a problem if there's a good enough distribution network out there so that the pirates, the ones that can actually afford the game and would buy it otherwise, have an easy way to get it legally with money. And now we come to the popular definition, and that is, man, Denuvo eats babies, doesn't it? DRM methods have had a lot of problems in the past, as I've mentioned earlier with Star Force and Securom, but they have slowly improved over time, and Denuvo is one of the better ones. Now, there are some reports that Denuvo actually causes really bad performance because, well, it actually can. Sometimes people will implement it in a way that makes so many calls towards the server that it will just outright flood the CPU, the system. It will just make it crawl and not be able to actually do anything. But it munching up performance is probably the least troublesome thing it can do. It's not good, it would have been better if it didn't do it, but from locking you out of your system completely because of some buggy snafu that happened to, well, Assassin's Creed Odyssey runs a little bit like crap, it's an improvement. You're still in a turd sandwich, but you're near the end of it. But some people will react a bit negatively when hearing that Denuvo is involved, saying that, oh, I'm not gonna install this ever, it's the worst thing possible to humankind. It's not. We've had Star Force before. Star Force, whose owners would outright try to sue people that highlighted the many problems of their DRM. Denuvo, at least, is constantly being removed from video games after it is cracked. There was a bit of a period of like half a year when it seemed like it couldn't be cracked, when the cracking teams actually give up on it, but now it's sort of getting blown away within weeks, days. It's not an issue. Now, what is the marketing definition of DRM? Well, that is a necessary evil. Did we say evil? We meant games as a service, which are not evil. Games as a service are evil, especially when those games as a service are not really delivered as a service, they're just delivered as DRM. Take, for example, Diablo 3. Diablo 3 has no reason other than DRM at this point to run solely online. Same with StarCraft 2. Diablo 3 may have had a reason at the beginning because it was tied to that catastrophe of an auction house, but now it has no reason to function like that. Same with SimCity, where the backlash was so bad because the game as a service component made it utterly unplayable. A game is built as a service simply because the developer never, well, their publisher most likely, never wants people to actually own the game. They want to be able to control every aspect of it. They want to make sure that nobody plays it without buying it. Or better said, nobody plays it in any other way than the one that they want you to. Even if they give it away for free, because, you know, the game was kind of a bit of a failure, they will still keep it as an online service, simply because letting the players, the community, have their way with it would improve upon it, possibly, meaning that it would be a bit harder to just pull the plug and come out with a sequel, because people would still be playing the first one. We've seen this with The Crew, we've seen this with Destiny. They haven't pulled the plug on the first ones yet, but they're kind of abandoned, especially The Crew. Don't think The Crew 2 will have that much life in it either. And not having mod support is kind of a horrible thing, especially on PC, the platform that was built on mod support. Games were built on mod support. The first video games were built as mods for previous video games. And to forbid that, for the sake of DRM, for the sake of people not being able to own it so you can bump them out of the money as often and as much as you want to, that is a bit evil. It's tiny, it's kind of a dick move if not evil per se. DRM isn't great, and the legal framework around it is, without a doubt, absolutely evil, made by evil human beings that should not have been allowed to decide what you can do with the thing that you bought. Like a harvester combine, can you fix it by yourself? No. You have to download cracked Ukrainian firmware to be able to actually fix it, otherwise John Deere is gonna charge you a fortune for anything. What I'm saying is DRM expands beyond video games and how horrible and evil it is. So closes this edition of the Gaming Codex. Come back next time when we will talk about a brand new subject, probably a shorter one. Goodbye.